This is the Inkpulp podcast. This is the Inkpulp podcast. Comics, hip hop, life.
This is take number 4. This is the 4th time I'm trying to do this. And then I get a text. Just awesome. Welcome to the Inkpulp podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Sean Crystal. And this is how I do. Nicks and bumps and all that jazz. I just roll with it. Today, I've got all my homies, Eric Canete and Matteo Scalera. 2 of my closest friends, 2 artists who are mind-blowing, inspiring, incredible, amazing, awesome, all that stuff. And I kind of realized in this episode, COVID knocked out all the conventions, and Matteo lives in Italy, and Eric lives out in Oregon, so seeing them has been tough. Well, I haven't seen Matteo at all. I don't know when the next time I'll see him is. But these are my good friends, and not having conventions and not getting to see them, I hadn't realized how much I was missing it until I got on this Zoom with them and recorded this podcast. So this is a good one. For me, it was a great one. The 3 of us have been doing conventions together probably for about 10 years now. Probably, well, more like 7 maybe. Maybe that's a better figure. But when we do cons, we room together, we hang together, we chill together. So it's fun to have that dynamic back, and it always falls into me and Matteo are the 2 idiot kids, and Eric's the wise father. It's just the roles we fall into, but it's hilarious. I love it. I hope you guys like it too. Eric had a lot to talk about. He wanted to come on here. This was my idea, getting us 3 together, because we're entertaining motherfuckers when we're together. But there's a lot of knowledge in all of us, and especially in Eric. So I could tell when Eric got talking, he had some stuff he wanted to say or discuss and talk about. And we just kind of went with it there. And in the end, I think this is a really important discussion we had, and it kind of deals with the future of comic book publishing and where we're all going as artists right now. How not just COVID, which COVID was like the accelerant, but all the tinder was kind of there before, just waiting for one little flame to blow it all up. So we talk about that jazz. That's about it. This is a good podcast. I don't want to go on, and I don't have anything profound to say today. It's not every day I have that. So enjoy. Follow me across all social media at Inkpulp. Got a lot of cool stuff coming up. 2021, a lot of big announcements coming out. So follow me. Also, I started, this is new, Inkpulp Live. I'm doing on every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, I'm doing an Instagram Live, and every Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, I'm doing a Facebook Live on my Inkpulp page on Facebook and at Inkpulp on Instagram. And so a lot of times it'll be free little art lessons I'm giving. Sometimes it'll be a hang. We'll talk about music and shit, movies, comics, whatever. Sometimes it'll be a demo, not a lesson, but watch me as I do this and ask me questions as I go type thing. I don't know. I'm keeping it pretty organic, but I'm posting on all my stories every week. Like, here's what we're getting into this week. So please follow me on those platforms and join me for the live. They're like little tiny mini podcasts. They're dope. I'm enjoying them. They're going well. Enjoy today's podcast, and I'll be back next time with more to say. Peace. No, we're starting now. It's about to get real good, Eric. You love us. What are you drawing?
More pages from Arc. I'll show you the video call. Oh, I didn't get a chance to show Matteo.
Yeah, are you okay talking about that stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, cool, awesome. When's your YouTube? When are you planning on launching your YouTube thing?
Close to Christmas or something.
Oh, okay. All right, that's good. That's cool.
Christmas-ish. Well, everybody's winding down for the holidays. I mean, truth be told, there's really not much difference because people are fucking sequestered anyway, you know?
Right. Man,
Is Matteo looking for his dumb glasses?
Yeah, he wants to join me in the glasses crew. The Get Fresh crew.
So stupid.
I like my new shirt, too. AT Aliens and glasses.
What is AT Aliens?
It's just one of the greatest rap albums ever recorded by Outkast, Eric.
I'm sorry, dude.
The Atlanta peoples here. Yes! Yes!
Yeah, this thing as well. Or I have others.
He has choices.
I could use this ones.
Oh, yeah, I like those.
Or this ones.
Which ones, Eric? Which one? See, the reason I'm glad
I'm gonna change them as the podcast goes.
Okay, so. Good. That sounds perfect.
This podcast is all audio, right? There's no video component to it.
It's all video. What do you mean? You can record your hands drawing if you want to do that. I'm going to switch over and start drawing soon. I just wanted to capture some of this because I miss you guys. This is what we do. This is what we do when we're in the room at the cons.
I really I'm
Matteo and Sean piss off Eric.
You don't see each other often, but the first thing that you do is put on those goddamn glasses. You know, it's.
Oh, you know, Sean. Oh, I mean, you're not in your house. Otherwise, we should have wear.
Our Fratelli jackets.
Fratelli stuff.
I have some new stuff for you, by the way, Matteo.
Oh, that's awesome. What is that?
Yeah, I got some stuff for you. Can I mail stuff to Italy? Like, will they accept it from the States?
Yep.
Because Japan, you can't.
No, you can.
Okay, all right. I'll mail you some stuff. I got you a few things.
Hey man, did you see that thing that I just sent you? I sent something to you via what the fuck is this thing called? WhatsApp.
Oh, you sent it to me? I just
WhatsApp?
turned my cell phone down because somebody was calling me.
Yeah, check it out.
When somebody calls me, the computer reacts as well, so the computer is ringing, even if I put the cell phone on mute. So, what did you send me?
I sent you the logo to the book that I'm drawing. By the way, have we started? Have you started recording already?
Yeah, I'm recording. I'm recording. Do you want me to press pause? Do you need to talk off camera?
No, I just wanted to show Matteo the pages, and I didn't want that to be.
I'm going to switch my camera to my table, Eric. If you want. Do you want to switch to your drawing, or you want?
So it's basically this thing is already podcast time.
Yeah. When you went and got your glasses, I started recording because
awesome.
I wanted to capture that. Boop. Switch my microphone.
So it's on your phone now, Matt. Is the animated YouTube opening for my YouTube channel?
Just give me a second.
All right. So Matteo, how's everything going with you out there? How's the book coming?
Book is coming good. I'm pretty happy. I'm about to start inking the 5th issue, number 5.
Oh, cool.
I this time for this issue I just pencil it all, and then I'm doing all the inks just because I was.
You're doing it in a different order?
Yeah, it depends. Sometimes I just pick specific pages and I finish them as I do them.
Right.
This time I decided just to do all the pencils and then go with the and then do all the inks.
Which issue is this you're starting?
Number 5.
And it's 6 issues?
Yeah. And this one was really fun to work on, to be honest with you.
This issue was?
Yeah, like issue number 2 and 3 were more difficult. They were more technical. It was really hard stuff to do because there's a lot of dialogue, and at the same time, a lot of details, and a lot of people talking, a lot of interaction with people, and at the same time, a lot of need to show stuff on the panel and show details and stuff.
Right.
So it was really hard to make everything work, especially because those issue number 2 and 3 are all like detective stuff. So It's all just people investigating and talking. So
that's pretty cool, though, right? Because I mean, like, it's surprising that maybe it's boring to look at, and that's why there's not enough of that kind of stuff. You're working on a Batman. That's what we're talking about, right? A Batman book.
Yeah, the Harley Quinn spin-off. But again, it's there's a lot of detective work. Like it's really inspired by, in terms of as for rhythm of the story. It's really inspired by what's this name of it's a Netflix TV show. The guy who the first guy who tried to make a profile of serial killers.
Oh, Mindhunter.
Mindhunter, yeah.
Oh, such a good
really
series.
Inspired by that. So it's the rhythm is not the typical, American comic book rhythm. So It's not all action, but it's more interaction between characters and played with, tension and stuff like that, more than an atmosphere, more than, actual, action.
Sounds exciting.
It was really challenging, to be honest with you. But it's always nice, to have, also other, different rhythms, as long as you go with the story. So this last issue is there's more, there was different stuff to draw. So some flashbacks and some cool scenes. There's a big fire.
Oh, nice.
In a
I thought you
building.
did a really nice job on the cover of that one with the fire.
Oh, thanks, man.
Like with the photograph, that was beautiful.
Yeah, to be honest with you, like I had 2 options for that. I gave them 2 options. And Sean was like, one was more, a classic cover. And then we had this other one, the one that we went for. And
it was gorgeous.
And Sean was like, to be honest with you, like the one with the, the picture and the fire is the coolest one. But at the same time, I realized that it's harder to sell as an original. And I was like, you know what?
I knew you were going to say that.
So, and I was like, Sean, I don't care. If we all think it's the coolest one, like, I'll do this. I don't care, but.
Yeah.
I mean, from his point of view, like he wanted to tell me, hey, I'd rather you make money on a nice original.
Sure, of course.
From his point of view, it was.
But sometimes that like going for the like what will obviously sell isn't like it. the other one might sell better. You don't know. Sometimes those like really nice, like people just buy it because it's gorgeous.
No, that one's definitely not going to sell, dude. You've seen it.
Nah, it's already selling really good. So shut the fuck up.
Yeah, are you selling a ton of work off this book already? Like
Was that
your original art sales on the book have been really good?
Yeah, they were pretty good, to be honest with you. We increased the prices a lot this time. I mean, Jason did.
Yeah.
But so we took a chance on that because some of the pages were really expensive, way higher than my usual prices.
Right.
But I mean, we didn't sell them all, but most of them. So yeah,
That's great.
It was good. But maybe I will try. I don't know. Maybe for the next issues. I mean, this one was issue number 1, so it made more sense to take some chances. But maybe for the next issues, we'll go, maybe a little lower.
Is issue number 2 next week?
On the 24th. So it's gonna be
next week.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Because I picked up issue number 1 when I was in Portland.
Mm-hmm. I saw Jim send me a picture of you guys with the.
Oh, that's right.
book.
That's right. Yeah.
Thanks for the support, man.
Of course, Fratello. Hey, I wanted to ask you, Matteo. I've been looking at your work lately. Did you make a conscious decision, like early on, as you were developing and doing more and more books, to embrace sort of an animated look and an animated approach to drawing? Has this just been a natural progression of your work?
Well, yeah, to be honest, it's not even a progression. I just for each book, it comes natural for me to just, make it different from the other ones that I've done.
You don't do it intentionally, it just happens?
Yeah, it just happens, Like, I don't know, I remember, like, one that I did for Skybound, Dead Body Road.
Yeah.
That one was, a really dark and serious story.
Right.
And so automatically my drawings and the character proportions became more realistic. It's still my style, but it's a little bit realistic. And so it comes with the project, and like whenever I have a new project, once I start reading the script, the first thing that I do is my mind start visualizing it, like it's already made in front of me,
right?
And I try to emulate what I'm imagining.
Okay, so with this Harley Quinn book, were you imagining more like an animated series style?
Yeah, and also like my main thing for this one was to do it all in gray tones, so in ink washes, which I usually just do only for covers.
But Black Science, you did ink washes, right?
I did it only for flashbacks.
Oh, okay.
So this time I'm doing the whole book in ink washes.
It's taking you a little bit more effort, obviously. Right?
Oh yeah, it's taking more time. Yeah, I can do like 1 page a day with that.
That's it, Eric. Just 1 page a day.
Just one. How many were you doing previously?
No, some pages take me more than 1 day, to be honest. If there's a complicated background and stuff like that, so there's a lot of stuff going on the page, it takes me a little more. And then also these pages are all 6-7 panels each, so it's in general it's taking me much longer than usual. Yeah.
Is it because you're being lazy, or what is it? Is it because
no,
you're not taking care of your time? Is it
And fuck you, by the way. And, I'm just trying to, spend more time on the pages. I was used, especially with Black Science, especially because I was so, comfortable on the characters since I made them. I invented and I created them. I was used to, go really fast, especially in the pencils phase. In this case, I'm trying to define more things in the pencil phase. And then also, here, since I have to create gray tones, I'm using nibs to do, the straight lines and stuff like that.
You're using nibs. Oh, yeah, we talked.
Yeah, because I need to do, gray lines sometimes instead of just black lines.
Right.
So, of course, nibs, take a little bit more than just a liner. So
right. So, do you use like watered down ink with the nibs also to create gray lines? Yeah. I have. I prepare to save time. I prepare this thing here. Maybe I showed you. Yeah, you showed me like at the beginning of COVID.
I have the 3, main grays that I use. So.
And you can dip your sandwich in there too, right?
Exactly.
Are you? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was about to change subject for a second. I wanted to ask Eric, what's this thing that you said?
Yeah, that's where I was going. Go ahead.
Arc-Athena?
Yeah, Arc-Athena is the miniseries that I'm working on, right?
Mm-hmm. Is that for what? Image?
No, just for me. I wrote it and drew it, and I'm going to be crowdfunding it at sometime in August, September of next year. And so the plan is to do as much of the book as possible, actually finish the book, right? Which is 5 issues at 40 pages each.
Usually what people do, they finish things,
No. Some people actually, before they crowdfund, they get the money first.
Yes.
Okay.
Finish the book.
Okay, I was trying to be an asshole, but yeah.
Matteo, you don't have to.
Good job, you did it.
You don't have to.
But yeah, so the idea is to finish all. It's 5 issues, 40 pages each, so about 200 pages total.
Mm-hmm.
And then start crowdfunding each issue. Right. So issue 1 will crowdfund, fulfill the crowdfunding, like get the money for it, fulfill it, deliver. Fulfillment means like, shipping it out to the people who help support it. And then crowdfund the second issue. You know what I mean? Like back to back to back until all 5 are done. So
that's a lot.
That's the plan, And so the thing that I'd come to learn from a lot of different people who do crowdfunding campaigns is that you really have to sort of build this community of people who are, first of all, give awareness of the work so that they can get excited and hyped up for it and all sorts of and things like that. But also be the sort of personality that they're like, oh, we want to help support this guy,
Right.
And that's why. So the first thing that I sent you is the logo for the book. The second thing that I sent you is the animated bumper or the opening for my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So I'm going to open a YouTube channel that has a bunch of like time-lapse stuff of me drawing whatever it is that I decide, but also maybe once a week, if time permits. I think it'll be critical that I stream live and talk to people and just, again, build that community so that, come August, people are like, oh yeah, we definitely want to help support the work. So it's just all part of this sort of cascading things of here's a laundry list of the things that you need to do in order to make this crowdfunding successful.
I suppose that's really challenging, especially because it's really hard to like you. So it's gonna be
I look at myself in the mirror every day and I think to myself like, Jesus Christ, people get to look at this face. What kind of filter do I need to put on this camera? But no, so I think it's just in the new frontier that we're going to be moving towards.
Yeah,
I think it's super critical that creators and people who actually want to go beyond just mainstream publishing start establishing for themselves this viable option. Because I think as I come to understand what's happening with mainstream publishing, and that's not just for me, because I haven't been doing anything mainstream in such a super long time. But as I understand what's happening in mainstream publishing, as the window of stuff that they're doing starts to narrow, not to say the doors will ever close. As a creative, if you ever want to put stuff out, now is sort of like the most opportune time to have done this was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, so that when COVID came down, you're like, oh, I don't need Marvel, I don't need DC, I don't need mainstream.
It's really interesting. Like it's something that I'm thinking about as well. Like as soon as I finish this Arley book, it's a world that I would like to explore. So
I'm there with you, man. So whatever information that I can get my hands on, I'll obviously, awesome, parlay to you, parlay to Sean, and vice versa.
Involved in this as well?
Only in a sense of like fulfillment, because it's the first time that I ever had to take any of the, not necessarily the finances, but the logistics. You know what I mean, Matteo? Like, you need to make X amount of dollars to be able to ship this stuff off, and include in there the amount of what your time is worth. Because in my head, like good conversation with Jason was like, Jason, this isn't technically costing me a ton of stuff because I'm doing this in my off hours, yada, yada. I was like, but you could have been doing stuff for whomever. And I'm like, I don't typically do stuff from whomever, but it's still important to be able to track that figure and include that into the crowdfund, because you want to be able to know, hey, this is a viable living for you, moving forward. This is going to be the thing that helps support you, on an annual basis, as opposed to having a 9-to-5 job and this thing on top. This could be the thing that you can do full time,
Oh yeah, definitely.
So that was super.
Sorry to interrupt, but I saw some campaigns of people that have been working on that for a while, so they had the time to build up a big audience. And I mean, I've seen the numbers, and I'm pretty sure they're doing fine economically, because I saw some really, really big numbers. So.
Yeah. Elsa, I don't know if you know Elsa Charretier, the French artist.
Yeah, I saw she's doing something. I mean,
she did it. It was just an art book, and she made like $120,000 on her art book.
Yeah, you had to factor. I mean, the art book technically costs her nothing to do because it's already pre-existing material that's in her art book or in her sketchbook. But then you'd start thinking about like, okay, well, how much does fulfillment cost? And it's high. Well, it's, I don't know about for an art book, but for a comic book, a standard 40 some odd page comic book, it's somewhere. Fulfillment means the time, effort, and expenses that it will take to get it out to the actual backers, guys. Yeah. So, and it's high. It's something like, 10 to 15K.
Yeah. Right.
Well, also as a product, I mean, of course, if you have a really big name, like people are gonna keep buying your art book. Mm-hmm. But in general, like if you just keep doing an art book and that's it, after a while, I mean, people might still buy it, but unless you have big evolutions in style every time.
Yeah.
I mean, after a while, it's just.
But Matteo, do you think that's true? Because I see, like, take someone like J. Scott Campbell. Like, he puts out all these art books and sells a ton of them, and they're all like in the same level.
We have to deconstruct the examples that we're using. J. Scott Campbell is the exception, not the rule, Right. So if we're going to say J. Scott Campbell, then our conversation becomes very short because that's J. Scott Campbell. But if we were to say everybody else, that I think is more important.
Well, true.
But also, I was trying to think about myself and what I would love to do. Like, even if you told me, hey, every time you make an art book, it's going to sell like crazy, and so you can do one every year and you're gonna be fine. I mean, it's good to know, but it doesn't really interests me, you know.
Yeah,
Just reading an
I mean,
article, just
it has
because.
short-term gain, you know,
Yeah,
that
that's what
may
I'm saying.
have long-term financial, financial relevancy. But I think, in as far as being a creative,
Yeah.
you kind of want to take away. I don't know. I don't know where your guys' principles are. I don't know what your guys' foundational like outlook is, but I've never, and I've spoken to Sean about this to exhaustion. But with you, Maddie, I don't know if I've ever did, but I don't like the current comic book infrastructure, the distribution infrastructure, which is like, let's say Harley. I don't know what Harley is selling right now. What is it selling? What did issue 1 can't come out?
500,000 copies.
Oh,
Is it really?
No, I'm just kidding. No, 80.
Okay,
80.
so let's say 80,000, right? Amazing for, I guess that's pretty great for a number one. I don't know what the metric is,
it's
but I think
good,
that's pretty respectable for an offshoot but that's associated with Batman, right? But $80,000, as amazing as that number is, and obviously it puts money in your pocket. First of all, it doesn't mean 80,000 people bought Harley Quinn.
Right.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Right? It means 80,000 copies were ordered. Right. And that doesn't really impact you in a way because you get paid either way, you know?
Yeah.
But what I would like to do is if somebody's a huge fan of my work, let's say like somebody's a huge fan of your work, I would like to know that even though it was, you know, let's say it's down to 3,000 copies, you know, 4,000 copies, you know, for sure the 4,000 people are getting it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And I believe that has a really profound impact in how people interact with you because they know for a fact that they were the ones that helped to help that book come into reality. You know,
yeah, absolutely.
They helped make that happen.
Right.
And that sort of like intimacy, that sort of like participation means a whole lot more, at least in my perspective, than 80,000, 100,000 copies of anything. Because again, the short-term money, or maybe long-term money, once they start reprinting it, is pretty dang awesome. But from a hey, I made this and I'm really super proud of it, and I want you to have it, fan of my work, not fan of Harley Quinn. You know?
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
I want you to be a fan of my work and my creative endeavors. I think that means a whole lot more, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more with that. Like you're 100% right. And they're the same things. These are the same things that I'm thinking about. I've been thinking about lately. Like, because of course, like as you mentioned, like drawing a Batman book, a Batman related book, as you know, its own good thing that come with it. So
for sure.
But so you gotta simply ask yourself what you wanna what you wanna obtain.
Yeah. You and I talked about this a long time ago, which is like some guys, they just want to draw Spider-Man. And we're not sitting there going like, oh, that's so stupid, and that's all you want to do with your life. We're not making fun of those guys. It's like if that's your dream, then go for it. But if you're just sort of like, in your case, you just said it earlier, you're like, oh, if somebody ever told me I can make sketchbooks and that'll be the only thing that'll be released from me, I don't think I'll find that very creatively fulfilling, right?
Yeah.
So this speaks to guys like you, which is like, you want to put out a creative endeavor independent of a mainstream publisher, but it's all yours. And for sure when people get it, it's going directly to a customer, going directly to a reader, and a fan of your body of work, and it fulfills that creative itch that you have. Like it scratches that itch, right? I think that's super. I think this thing that we are about to discover is super important, which is like, how do we make contact? How do we have a more intimate experience with potential readership, So, and I think this is the way to go.
Yeah. All of these things, are you just constantly thinking about these things, or in the meantime, you've started talking to people or people that that are expert in this specific field?
Yeah, that's pretty Sean, we're about to get controversial.
I'm all for it, man. You know how I feel.
So,
Oh, you don't need to name names, you know. Just
yeah, no, it's okay.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't mind.
Yeah.
I think give credit where credit is due. You know. So when I first started researching where the most not just popular, the most successful crowdfunding campaigns are, there were some that were like, oh, that's like a I can't remember what the name of the book from Kickstarter, but it was like sword and sorcery, but also the style was sort of like not similar to mine. So it would, like, you know, superhero stuff. The story that I want to tell is like big 90s superhero action comics from Wildcats and Youngblood, you know, the stuff that made me want to read comics. So if I'm passionate about it, I suspect people are going to be passionate about it too. But this guy wasn't drawing that. So it was enough for me to look at and go like, what did they do that was, but there was, what was successful, there was still stuff that I could learn, but there was always that disconnect to go like, that's not really what I do. And there was already an audience built into that because he had released it online first, you know?
Yeah.
So all he was doing was taking the popularity of something that took, gosh, I would say maybe 5 years, maybe more. And now he's putting it into print, and there's already an audience built in. Can you imagine if you did Batman as a web comic first or online only first, and you're like, oh, I'm going to make this available in print for the first time? Of course it's going to be super popular, you know, because there's already an audience built into it.
What sort of numbers are you talking about that did?
I forgot. It's pretty high.
Oh.
So, no, it was close.
What did he say?
It was closer to like 400,000, something like that.
Jesus.
And so the closest thing that I could understand, or that has a direct sort of correlations, almost apples to apples comparison, was the stuff that Comicsgate was doing, right? And here's the controversial part. And because those guys are so villainized in the comic book industry, and I understand where that reputation comes from, but also I believe that a lot of it is, you know, amped up to 500, and people aren't willing to really ask super critical questions of ultimately how bad are you know, what is the truth there, and then decide for themselves. They hear it from somebody, and they just go, oh yeah, okay, so they're assholes, you know. Yeah. And I hate that I don't like that as a personality trait, you know. Like you and I can have I can have an opinion about somebody, Maddie, and I could tell you and Sean about it, and then you're like, oh, that's interesting, and then you go experience that person, you know, you build a relationship with that person, and you're like, he's not an asshole at all, you know. That's just your experience with them, you know. But people are unwilling to sort of like understand that maybe, hey, that unique experience is unique to you, but to me, they're super cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, to that point, like I started understanding, or at least I started researching as to who were coming up with the sort of campaigns that were the most similar to mine. And I'd come to realize it's these guys. So why am I going to immediately cancel out the opportunity to learn about how to crowdfund something independently and put out a creator-owned book just because, by way of reputation, first of all, I don't know anything about them, and they've never done any wronging to me or somebody that I knew. I'll still go learn from them, you know? Like, I'll still ask the right questions. So I just reached out to them. I said, hey, what does this look like, you know? And I'll tell you, based on my experience, just my experience alone, 0% of it was adversarial. 0% of it was like, who the fuck are you, bro? You know what I mean? Like, there was 0% of it was like standoffish, or like, you know, oh man, you're just one of those guys. You're trying to, you know what I mean? You're trying to take advantage of this platform that we fought for 4 or 5 years, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
It was like, it was not like that. I would be like, so how does this, you know, should I do this first or should I do this first? Oh, don't do that, man. You need time to build into the momentum of the book. Should I release this all at once? Should I do it, you know, should I do it in installments? What's the actual page count? All of that, they were like, yeah. They were like totally on the level.
Yeah.
And so it trips me out to see the public opinion of them versus who they are as a people. Now, when I go and watch Van Sciver on his stream, I can understand why people, first of all, find him abrasive, But at the end of the day, there's no law against being like somebody that you can turn him off is what I'm getting at.
Right.
You know, like, oh my gosh, Ethan is coming into my house and just peeing all over my floor. No, you open the door, you know?
Right.
Next time, don't open the fucking door. You know, keep him on the other side of the door. He has zero impact on you. I don't understand this attitude of people going like, oh, he's saying things that we don't like, and therefore we've got to go shut him up and make him look bad.
It's the time. These are the times for you guys. I mean, I'm sort of reliving what happened in Italy in the 90s when we had Berlusconi.
I was going to ask you about that.
It was basically a Trump, but 30 years or earlier than him.
Yeah.
And it was a guy who was a huge businessman with a shady past and shady present as well.
Yep.
And, it was, he took advantage of a weird situation that we had in Italy. In that specific time in Italy, there was a huge loss of faith and trust for politics because we had a huge investigation that involved all the parties in Italy. So basically, this investigation was called Bribeland, translated from Italian. In Italian, it was Tangentopoli. So basically, they discovered this massive corruption scandal that basically involved almost every single politician. So tons of politicians went to jail.
What was the scandal, Matteo? Like, what were they doing?
Oh, they were basically, in exchange of money, they would have their, give, how do you say? Like, if you have to do a bridge, if you have to build up a bridge or a public, building.
Yeah, it's bribery, right?
An auction between builders, and you have to, choose.
They would win the contract every time.
In each part of politics, whoever had to take decisions and stuff would take money from builders, from whoever, from every businessman, to make them win.
That's America too. How did they get caught? How did they?
It's a really long story, but it's really interesting to be honest with you. And
your point is we're experiencing a version of that now here.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, the thing in common is that there's a huge loss of trust for politics in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was, clear in Italy because nobody trusted politicians anymore because, like, a big part of them went immediately to jail. Yeah. It was crazy. Like, our prime minister was basically the head of this whole system,
Yeah. Like, but it's interesting now because in the case example that you had, losing trust and faith in politics, that makes a lot of sense because they were actually the criminals who did the wrongdoing. What's happening here, and I think it's similar to when it happened to you guys in the early 90s, is that if there was ever an individual that showed loyalty to those corrupt politicians, right, they immediately are ostracized. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're immediately villains too, So in Ethan's case, because he, 4 years ago, his candidate won and nobody really liked Trump, immediately Ethan was like a bad guy, Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
it's what happened when Berlusconi, became our prime minister because he's a really polarizing, character.
Yeah.
And so
And didn't Berlusconi get caught in his own scandals later on?
Yeah, I mean, he had already tons of investigation before becoming prime minister. There's actually and this is confirmed by a ton of people that he actually said, "Okay, I got to get into politics because otherwise it's this or jail." So he admitted that he had to become a politician to avoid jail. But in general, I'm not the thing that I notice now is how this affected, Italy for so long.
Yeah.
Because, for us, it's before Berlusconi and after Berlusconi, because everything changed. Now, if, every candidate, from then on, they had to look at him on how he did things, because it wasn't supposed to be the prime minister. It wasn't supposed to win,
Right.
And he surprised everybody exactly like Trump did.
Yeah.
Right.
And so from then on, like, communication and became really important. The way you promote yourself to the people.
Right.
Before Berlusconi, it was politicians were really classic figures.
Right.
Yep.
And after that, people realized that it doesn't really matter what you say. The important thing is that you keep saying stuff. As long as people keep talking about you, like it's good. It doesn't really matter what you say. But in general, I don't want to. It's I don't want this to be either against or pro-Trump, because I'm not even a U.S. citizen, so none of my business. But in general,
this is what's happening. I think it's still, there's remnants of it now. And what my big takeaway is, like, I have to, like, the cartoonish example that I give is when people go like, well, to what extent are you willing to talk to some guy? I'm like, well, if Matteo, I'm going to learn as much as I can from Sean, unless you tell me Sean's the kind of guy that just goes around stabbing people in the face, That's psychopathic behavior. I don't want to have any associations with that guy, right? But when it comes to just talking to people, and I look at their actions and I go like, oh yeah, he's just abrasive on the internet. There's no fucking law against being abrasive on the internet,
Right.
But if his success is something that I can learn from, right?
Yeah.
That really ultimately is where I can go like, okay, I don't necessarily need to adopt everything, but I need to understand why it was successful so that I can use the parts that's super useful to me,
Matteo, do you know the kind of numbers Eric's talking about, like what Ethan's done on his books?
I didn't exactly follow that, but I think from what I remember, or either somebody told me, or I don't remember, it was like 700.
Yeah, it's at one point. I think it's at 1.1 million now
for one floppy.
Is that the first book?
Yeah.
Okay. No, then it's the 700, 800,000 probably was the second book. Maybe, I don't know, but it's impressive, man. Like,
I want to know,
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, it's different from, let's say, if I was a business person and my subject is somebody like Jeff Bezos who runs Amazon, right? Like, as a business person, there's no way I can just get Jeff Bezos on the phone. Whereas with Ethan, or with Meyer, who is the guy that goes by the name of your boy Zach, I can reach out to them and be like, what did this look like for you in your experience, right? Knowing full well that a part of the notoriety that they had, the sort of drama and scandal that they were involved with, helped to bring the right sort of eyes onto their campaigns.
Yeah, definitely.
So in as much as I can reach out to them, I'll reach out to somebody else who's not at all anywhere near that stratosphere that they're dealing with as far as the success, and be like, okay, what worked for you? What I don't like is people going like, hey, don't talk to those guys because, we don't like them.
I mean, these are really polarizing times in general in the world, but especially for you in the States. I mean, that's, again, like the ideas that I have now are very, conditioned by the fact that all that I listen to as I work is, podcasts by American comedians.
Yep.
So they have, they one of the main things is that they analyze the society that they live in.
Oh, Matteo, real quick, just side note. I got Dan Soder's coming on my podcast in December.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Do you want to hang out with us when I do it? Do you want to be on?
That'd be great, but I'm gonna be boring. Like I don't have the skills.
Dude, Dan's the entertainer. I mean,
definitely. But I'll be just here, just laughing, and sometimes
we'll be drunk. That's what I'm gonna be. What do you think I'm gonna be doing?
No, again, but I won't be. Sometimes I won't even be. I won't even understand what he's saying. Probably, I won't get.
All right, just think about it. Just think about it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Eric.
Sure, thanks. I appreciate that, but I don't want to, be the, I say no. I don't have the right word. You say
you don't want to be
like that would happen, and then
the fact that he doesn't have the right word right now, dude.
He doesn't want to be the little bitch. Just say it, Matteo.
Whoa.
No, it's just
that's extreme.
We say, when somebody's basically useless to a conversation, we say that it's like, how do you call those objects that you keep in your house just to decorate? Maybe on a furniture, you put a statue.
How do you say it? This is like decoration, right?
Yeah.
How do you say it in Italian?
Soprammobile. It's over the furniture because that's where you put them, on a furniture.
It's decorative. We just say it's decorative, right?
Yeah, I don't want to just be decorative, just,
But what would be different than your normal participation?
Oh boy.
It was nice seeing you guys.
Anyway, when switching fucking glasses, what an asshole.
All right.
So anyway, once this gets all started, that's the plan, is to sort of launch it back to back, have the YouTube channel available. It's all just part of the quote unquote playbook for crowdfunding,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to do my best to follow it in order to make it successful.
So, sorry, maybe I asked you already, but I don't recall. Do you have a time, like a schedule in mind or something like that, or for now?
Yeah. End of August, beginning of September, the first issue goes out.
Awesome.
I've already finished it.
How many pages?
The first issue is 48. The second, third, and fourth are 40, and then the fifth issue is 48.
Gotcha. That's cool, man.
What's interesting about that number is that, initially when I only had 32 pages, I got it from somebody. They're like, oh man, the basic package that goes out, just the book itself, at $25 for that crowdfunding book. The current the standard, right, is 48 pages. That is invaluable information. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You want people to go, in order for you to charge a basic baseline price for a crowdfunded book, should be around 40 some odd pages, 48 pages.
Is that 48 pages of content or 48 pages
content,
cover to cover? Okay.
Content. I did, anyway, I did 48 pages of sequential work. But for me, those are the little tidbits that you want to know, right?
Yeah.
And it's super important. I believe that it's super important because it makes people like they've gotten something substantial. Another interesting thing that somebody asked was like, so wait a second, we've been buying comics for like $4 or $5. And do you really think a comic is worth $25? And I was thinking about that. Like, is a comic worth $25? I don't have a good answer. I thought to myself, is it, are we saying it's not worth $25 because what we've been doing this entire time is just buying comics for $5?
Right.
Or is it worth $25? Right? And we've been told that the only thing that it's worth is $5.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, that's interesting.
When you say $25, are you talking about the first book, the 48 pages book, just the one issue? Okay.
Just the one issue. That's an interesting thing, right? Because you think $25 versus $5. Oh, that's 5 times the cost. But you go like, wait a second. Are we just being like, because in my head, I'm all like, whoa, that's a huge jump to have somebody commit to a $25 book, especially when most books out there are about $5. Or is it like, yes, it's worth $25. We've just been told by people that the most that it's worth is $5.
Right.
See what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I do.
You see the difference? Like, we have been told that that's all it's ever going to be worth. So the thing that my attitude now is, it's worth $25, but I have to make it worth $25, which is, it's got to have amazing.
Thinks you suck, but yeah.
Yeah. It's really difficult because, you know me and my low standards and my low values, but it needs to be an experience. So the version that I'm thinking about is first issue. Oh, I wish I had a sample. Jason Schrachter wants to go with a local printer.
Mm-hmm.
And they sent me a bunch of samples, and I'm all like, I want this cover because it's going to feel really, really good in your hand. It's not going to feel like it's throwaway. And I'm all like, oh, see, look at that. We've been programmed that when you buy a comic book, it can only look like this for $5.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Ink that comes off on your hand. The experience doesn't feel good. You know? That needs to change. The sort of experience of having it and the sort of like feeling that it gives you to like, whoa, this feels robust. This feels like something that I paid $25 for. That's on us, right? That's on us as the people who are distributing it, right?
Yeah.
Mainstream publishers just go and do the same thing over and over again because nobody ever challenges them and go like, can you make that better? Right. Can we get more for the money that we're paying you guys?
Yeah.
I think we need to change that. I think there needs to be a deliberate change from the creator side if it's manageable, if it's sustainable, Like, I'm not going to sit there and make every 48 page book a hardcover. But if it raises enough within the crowdfunding, that could be that stretch goal, although I would never want it to be,
Right.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's a really interesting space to really deconstruct what that financial commitment means and what it's meant historically. I've seen a couple of people who interview crowdfunding guys and be really super adversarial about the price point. They'll hold up the comic, a simple 48, 49 page comic, and go like, so you really think that this is worth $25? It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, it's worth $25.
Right.
First of all, it's what the market would bear for it, right? And I worked really, really fucking hard to make that thing what it is. We've been told for generations, I don't know what your guys' page rate, and that's not really the point. We've been told that that's all you're worth because that's all the market will bear. I'm like, is that really true?
Right.
If somebody is willing to pay $1,000 for Matteo's pages, that's what Matteo's pages are worth. Not because you told me that's all Matteo's pages should be going for. Because of a page rate, like the average page rate based on this artist that sells thousands of books and this artist that only sells hundreds of books, Matteo's page worth is only somewhere here in the middle. We need to get rid of that. We need to be able to be in the space from a business perspective to go like, hell yeah, Matteo can charge $30 per book because number one, Matteo's fucking awesome. And two, he worked really hard in order to get his audience bought into the idea that this book is worth $35 an issue. And that's just at its basic foundation. Once he starts throwing all sorts of premiums on top of that, from like, you name it, from like posters to whatever it is that helps build out Matteo's brand, now it's worth $75 for that tier. And people are willing to pay for it because they love him as a creator. They love you, Sean, as an educator, We're no longer beholden to somebody telling us this is pretty much it, $5. So when I heard that conversation, I immediately went like, look at that. That guy is saying, based on our understanding of comics and business as usual, this should only be worth $5, maybe $7. but it should nowhere near be worth $25. And I'm like, fuck you. That's insulting.
Gotcha. Makes sense, man. Makes sense. Makes me think.
Yeah. It's a lot of information that, again, if I engaged my tribalism, I'd be like, fuck those guys,
Right.
like fuck anybody who's been successful in that space. But if I engage my businessman hat, if I sort of just kind of curb my immediate knee-jerk reaction and go, why is that working? It shouldn't work. Why isn't that working? And if I just listen to the crowd, then I immediately take all of that opportunity off of the table. Instead, I'll be like, fine, I understand. I know what that is. I understand the reputation. I understand what everybody else is saying, but I'm not approaching it from that. I'm approaching it from like, how do I make this work? What are you guys able to tell me? And you know what the fucking surprising thing is? They're not afraid to tell you. Most people who are sort of like, stay away. I only want this success for myself. I'm going to cover this up because I just want this to be as personal to me, this unique experience, personable only to, usable only to me. Those are the kinds of people that, all the three of us would look at and be like, okay, I guess so, but instead they're like, here's all the information that you need. Good luck to you. That's refreshing to me. Like, whoa, most guys would be really overprotective of that. And they're like, why would we be overprotective of something that you will be able to discover on your own anyway? Instead, they want to make that field as sort of like open for competition as possible because they know, and here is the key integral part that I think a lot of people who are against this idea, they know only the good shit makes it to the top. And the good and what represents as good is compounded by a lot of different information. You as a salesman, you as an actual artist, you as an individual that people can get behind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's really like what that good is. These days, a lot of mainstream publishing stuff gets brought up to the top because either by association to the character, so in your case, Matteo, like no disrespect to 80,000 copies being moved, but that's Harlequin, and that's Batman. That immediately goes to the top of the heap, right? And then it's plus 10, plus 20 by the body of work that both you, the writer, and the whole creative team bring in, right? But like, now it is the sort of, I think, as close to meritocracy as possible. How good is that product?
Yeah.
That's the gate that people have to go through, because if it sucks, it's not going anywhere.
Right.
Yeah, at the same time, like what I still like the thing that I want to learn to do better is how to promote product,
Absolutely.
I don't know, like, basically anything about the whole system, like, because so far, all that I needed to know is how to draw.
Yeah.
How to translate a script into actual pages.
Right.
And maybe, I had to learn how to do, conventions and stuff, but it's not that hard. But now I want to, I need to learn all those other mechanisms, which is how to, promote a book, and for how long you gotta resist being on a series before it takes, you start seeing an actual profit and stuff like that, which I learned with Black Science. Yep. Because I learned that, Black Science. Rick told me when we started working on it, it was like, okay, the first copies, the first issues are gonna sell well, because they already told us, they're gonna invest money in publicity and stuff like that and advertising. So they're gonna sell well. But if we're planning on doing, 40 and more issues, like 50 issues, they're not gonna sell the same. We're gonna go down. But as long as we have like 6 5, 6, 7 trades out, from then on, it's even if you don't sell a lot of floppies, you're gonna see a lot of money because every time a trade comes out, you start selling, because somebody will
But
to
that's
trade
the
number
thing, right?
7, and they're gonna buy trade number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 if they like it,
Right.
So that's, for example, one thing that I've learned and I didn't know. So I want to learn all this specific stuff, regarding how to handle, the distribution and how things in general, work in self-publishing and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's super important, man. Like, why wouldn't, again, and if you learn from the guys who have been there already, and somehow you can go, oh, that works for you because of this, but that probably won't work for me because of this. That all informs the next moves that you make.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, my point is that's what I'm trying to get into right now. As a matter of fact, now that you're talking about it, what we should do, especially because you're at the beginning parts of your discovery right now, Matteo, and Sean is already sort of hip deep into it, right? What we should do is that, maybe once every couple of weeks or so, we should do this on my YouTube channel, just so we can have that, first of all, we're going to be establishing ourselves in that space. But then eventually, Matt, and even Sean, you too, like, should you decide to take that sort of audience that we built together and then splinter it off into our project, we already have that long runway of discovery, This won't happen tomorrow. This is going to happen 3 years from now, 2 years from now.
Right.
Yeah. But regarding this YouTube, the YouTube channel, like, you're saying that we should jump in and draw over there, or just
we can do whatever the heck we want. The first thing that I think is key to sort of establishing is just who you are as a creator, as a personality. Now, I know, like, whenever I see Dan Fraga stream, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Dan is wearing a bunny suit. It makes me laugh. And I was texting him and I said, Dan, I can't do that, right? Because I asked him for his advice. Hey, I'm not going to release until sometime in January. Do you think that I should start a YouTube channel now or wait until I'm a little bit closer? And he's like, no, fucking do it right now. Do it right now, because you want people to start knowing who you are as a creator, start talking about the things that you're into, start talking, like, you're drawing an audience, building the audience and drawing them in, and then having them understand, oh, this is what we can expect from this guy moving forward, right? They dress like that purely for the entertainment factor, because whenever they stream, it's like having a show. They're entertaining in their own way. And when I said I can't do that, he's like, yeah, but you can still be entertaining. You can still be informative. This is just the thing. This is just the brand that we took on. This is just the versions of this entertainment that we took on. It doesn't mean it has to be the thing that you do. You just have to find your version of it. And that's what I'm getting at. Is like, if you come on now, the objective, the actionable thing that we can do is start building those relationships with an audience, right? And finding our brand of entertainment. And then from there, because that audience is starting to either be built in or grow, hopefully, knock on wood, then that's the stuff that we take forward into whatever thing that you decide to draw. So in my case, it's going to be, doing time-lapse videos, talking about my processes about those time-lapse videos, and then like releasing that on YouTube, because you have to take advantage of YouTube's algorithm, which is consistency every week, right? Right. Something new has to be coming out because they want to keep people on that platform. If you are part of that equation, that you keep people on the platform beyond, I can't remember what the algorithm says, like anything beyond 10, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, you're golden, right? They fucking love you. And they will then in turn recommend the next video. They start bumping that up into the algorithm. It's awesome, that bit of information. I wouldn't have gotten that on my own. That was volunteered to me, So that's one thing that I'm going to end up doing. But every now and again, I'll do a live stream in which people can come in talk to me live, similar to what I used to do on Twitch. So I'm like, oh, this is just like Twitch, but I don't have to do it daily. Oh, fuck yeah. It's easy, you know? And be able to talk to them, walk them through, maybe, you know, show them previews of what I'm working on, right? Leading into August of next year. And then finally go like, okay, this is live. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for being here. My campaign is live. Please show it to as many people as you can, yada, yada, yada. Start bringing on like a bunch of different people to be able to talk. So like, for instance, between now and August, I want to be able to talk to Sean. I want to be able to talk to you and be like, oh yeah, this is the group of people that helps to represent the type of individuals that I want to bring on to be able to talk. And not just that, I want to be able to like bring on a distributor and be like, what does this look like for you? You know, how tough has, you know, whatever it is that you're like, those are the kinds of things that I want to start including into my channel.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah. You know, what fascinates me is the idea like of I do something and direct, like for people, a product, I make a product that will arrive to people's houses and they'll just pay me for that. So every time I'm going to do, okay, you want the second one? Okay, give me the money and make the second one. Oh, you want the third one? You liked it? This direct relationship. And, and you know, this thing, because I mean, don't get me wrong, like just the fact that I was able to turn my dream into my work and I make a living out of it, I'm already happy with it. You know, I'm a pretty happy person I'm pretty happy with my life even right now. It's you know, but the idea of having that, you know, special direct relationship between, you know, what I do and, you know, what allows me to make a living with what I do, it's so fascinating to me. I don't know if it's the same. I don't know. I don't know if it's.
It is to me. I know exactly. I know exactly where you're coming from. It is exactly the same for me, which is like, oh, I take away the, you know, if it's a room, I take away multiple doors between me and the person who's going to support me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the same mindset. Like everything I'm doing right now is, if I can connect directly with fans of my work and what I do and create stuff that they buy directly from me, that's the goal. And that sounds amazing.
Yeah, and in general, I don't know, I'm trying to fantasize about that. And in general, what I see is that even when I have time to do a book, like I always have this weird anxiety. Like, even if I know that, you know, they give me, I don't know, like normally it will take me 4 weeks to do a book and they give me 6.
Yeah.
I'm still anxious from day one because I don't know. I have to relate myself to, you know, the editors and stuff like that. So in my head, they're still, you know, they're waiting for me and maybe what I do is not right, and then it won't reflect good on the sales. I don't know what happens, to be honest with you. But something happens that gives me anxiety.
Do you think that's the condition of working under deadlines for so long? Like, it just conditions your mind to go there?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, that happened to me for sure.
Yeah, I still have to analyze that. But in my head, like, as I'm fantasizing about this, you know, instead of with the crowdfunding, I don't know, I'm thinking like the same as when somebody commissions me, like somebody asked me for a commission, you know, like just a guy asks me for a commission, and I'm not that anxious. I'm just excited to do it, you know?
Yeah.
I don't feel that anxiety of, you know, the performance, the fact that I have to perform and stuff like that. I'm just like, oh, you want that? Okay, so it costs this much. You want it? Yeah. And then I'm just happy and I just do it. I don't think about having to finish it on time. I'm just happy to do this thing for this person. So I feel that doing, you know, something that is crowdfunded will give me the same feeling, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, you have to understand your audience, right? Like, you might want to do your freaking romance comics or whatever it is, but if there's no audience for it, it doesn't make much sense. So the only thing that you sort of have to may give you a moment of pause is that, well, it's actually the same what you're talking about, which is an audience told you, or, a person told you who's commissioning your work, Matteo, I really love it when you do this, right?
Yeah.
You'll get the same, by the time you're ready to go and do whatever it is that you do through crowdfunding, you'll kind of have an understanding of like, people really love it when I draw this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'll do that, but I'll do it for an issue. I'll do it for 3 issues. I'll do it for however many. You'll optimize for the thing that for sure. People are like, oh man, you draw, like, if you were Adam Hughes, somebody would be like, I really love it when you draw chicks. So you're going to end up drawing a book that was very, buxom woman centric, Yeah. So it's as close to that as you can get to your example of like somebody coming up to you in a convention and being like, hey, I'll give you X amount of money if you draw me this. The only difference is, it won't be Batman. It won't be, it won't be like the X-Men, but the opportunity is still there. The good thing is that you're not, somebody brought this up to me just as recently as today. They were like, Eric, I think you'll be okay because you already have sort of this audience that knows of your work. A lot of the guys who are trying it brand new, who want to do it on their own, need as much coverage as they can get. And sometimes they get that through associations with with CG, but it's not their prime motivating factor. They are helped by that association, whereas you already have that, you already have that reputation. You already have sort of people paying attention to your body of work, right? Yeah. So it's just a matter of like, okay, now I get to do whatever the heck I want, as long as I know for sure that it's making sense, that it will sell units, it will move units, right? It's a smart business tactic, right? Like, hey, what do the people like from me? I'll go do that.
Well, Eric, what do you think people like from you?
That's a great question. I have no idea. I'm just drawing this thing. No, what people have come to, I think, if I can kind of if there's any takeaway that I've seen from people, they love it when I draw like big techie action dudes.
Right.
Right. But I also, compounding that, and I don't want to make it exclusively about like, hey, what does the audience want from me? And I'll just go deliver that.
Right.
Ultimately, what's informing it is my love for something, like I love this era of comics. I loved watching Jim Lee draw Uncanny X-Men. I loved it when he did adjectiveless X-Men. I loved it when he moved on to Wildcats. I loved that bracket of people, or that bracket of comics that came out that made me go like, I want a job in that. I can't do it, but I want a job in it, Right. So my passion for that, my sort of the thing that made me, like when, I keep using this as an example with you, Sean, when Remender did his Uncanny X-Force run, and he did it with, who did he do that with?
Assad and Jerome.
Yeah, when he did it with Jerome, I was like, what the fuck? They still allow them to make these kinds of comics? Right. Like, I didn't think they were allowed to do this stuff anymore. I thought, like, as a brand, Marvel was shying away from this stuff, They were doing more introspective, kooky, whatever it is that Grant Morrison had set up on New X-Men, Like, it was a lot. It wasn't blockbuster stuff anymore,
Right.
And so when I read that, I was like, whoa. And then when they went away from that, because I think, Rick's run was done and they had given the reins to somebody else, I was like, oh, okay, this is more in line with what I come to have an understanding for Marvel. So my interest waned, but that feeling that I got was similar to when I would get X-Men books of back in the day of Claremont run and Jim Lee's run,
right.
Mark Silvestri's run. And especially when they went into their own sort of like, I'm going to draw huge double page spreads of anything. That's the kind of stuff that I want to, that I'm really super into. And that's what I'm drawing with this book. Now, how to make it, the great thing is that I have that as an experience and as a point of reference to go like, what was missing from those stories back then? Oh, right. That was just like this loud music that didn't really have any sort of like good lyrics behind it. So I guess the thing that I need to do is actually make a semi-cohesive story, you know?
Right.
And so that's what I'm focusing on, is to be like, okay, I love the feeling of that. I love double page spreads. I love splash pages. I love guys like just like punching each other out and big monsters and cool superheroes and stuff. But I also kind of want to write like a story that kind of makes sense. I'm referring to like Wildcats, where I'm like, I don't understand what's happening. Right. But when it came to X-Men, I was like, holy crap, this feels so cool. What, they get to go out in space? What, they get to go into like prehistoric, you know, dinosaur lands, you know?
Right.
That's the stuff that captured my imagination, and that's what I'm doing with this book.
Gotcha, man.
That sounds awesome.
I'll show you pages offline, Matteo. Once we get out this thing, this podcast, I'll share a screen with you. I showed some of it to Sean already. But
yeah, it's gorgeous. That's exactly what you just
absolutely
was. Well, all right.
Well, I think maybe we should do that then. Let's
do that.
End the talk, and then we can show each other some stuff.
Yeah, boy.
All right, so I'm going to hit stop. Thanks, guys, for recording this with me.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for running the show, Eric.
Thank you.
This is the Inkpulp podcast. This is the Inkpulp podcast. Comics, hip hop,